Now, Python has a whole bunch of string functions that do with changing the case, uppercase, lowercase, that kind of stuff. So here, if you have a string like this, S5, then we have a case conversion function called capitalize. So capitalize will capitalize the first letter of the first word, and then the rest of it will be lowercase. Okay. Now upper, okay, it's another function, upper, so that converts everything to uppercase. Okay. So on upper or lower is the other one, which will convert everything to lowercase. The upper and lowercase are useful when you're trying to find a particular string, and if that string happens to be either in lowercase or uppercase in different areas. Okay, so then you first convert it to a particular case and then look for the phrase in that case. So here is the lowercase. So the same string is converted into lowercase here. Now title is where you change the first letter of each word to uppercase. So that's title. So we have upper, lower, title. Okay. Now, so those are some of the functions. There are lots of other functions that we have in Python. So now let's look at some more functions that we can use in terms of cleaning data. So count is a very useful function to figure out how long is a string, or how many times a particular character appears in a string. So here we have S6. Okay, so we have, that's the value of S6. Okay. Well, we have to. Okay, so now if you want to count how many S's there are, so this is the syntax for count. So number of occurrences of a substring in the target string, and it is case sensitive. So the dot here in front of count means you need to provide the variable name, the variable upon which the function should apply. So that's why you have S6 dot count, and we want to count S. Now here we are counting lowercase s because it is case sensitive, so it's not going to count the first s. Okay. Now if you want to count how many s's there are irrespective of the case, okay, you want to count all the s's, not just the lowercase, then that's where you can first convert. Okay, you take the string, take the variable, convert it all to the same case. Okay, so lower, and then you count lowercase s, because all the letters will be in lowercase. Now if you count all lowercase s's, then you get 3. Of course, you can do the same thing, okay, with upper. So in which case, this is going to give me 0 now, because when you convert to upper and then you're counting on the lowercase s's, that's not going to work. So if you convert everything to uppercase, then you have to count uppercase s. Okay, I'll put it back to the way it was. Okay. Now here notice that we are able to, implicit in this is that we are able to string together more than one function. You see? So we wanted to convert the letters into lowercase and then apply count, and we just strung them together, okay, one after the other. So that's another feature, semantics of Python, that's very useful. So you can keep building a long string of functions if needed. Okay. And we can restrict the count to a particular range. So here we want to count the number of letter I between index 4 and 12. Okay. So here is where the confusion is. The numerical fourth position, so which will be like in Python index is 3, and then 13 would mean 13 doesn't get counted, so it's 12. So this is kind of confusing, but so it's going to look at this substring. So 0, 1, 2, 3, it will start from 3 and it will go all the way up to 12, which is actually 13 if you start from 1. So, and here you're counting how many i's there are. So in other words, here we did not specify any substring. So it looks at the entire string and counts. But if you specify a particular range, then the counting will occur only within that range. Okay. All right. Now, find returns the lowest index in the target string where the substring occurs. Okay. And it returns a -1 if the substring is not present. If it cannot find the substring, back comes -1. So here I have S6, which is that. Okay. S6 dot find, and if I say R, then it's going to look for the letter R or any substring. It need not be just one word. Suppose if I say or very, then it's going to look for or very, and then the starting point is what it will give you. So it gives you 17. So you can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 17 is the index, Python index for A. So that's what you get. Now, if you want to find and, it's going to come back with a -1, so which means it's not there. So that's again. Have a question? Anybody? Okay. So if you're looking for something, so for example, zip code. So now you have a 5-digit zip code and then a hyphen and a 4-digit extension. So you can look for hyphen in the zip code. Okay, if you get a -1 back, then you know that there is no 4-digit extension. You only have the 5 digits. So you don't need to do anything. If you have a hyphen, then you can do an if statement. So if find the hyphen, if it is -1, and do nothing, otherwise whatever else that you want to do with it, okay, you do that after that. So that's one application, and there are many applications obviously for this find. Okay, index is the same as find, okay, except that it's going to return an error. So if it is not found, so I think find is better. You don't have to deal with error. Okay, so index is same as find, but with an error. Okay. Now the question here is, since the string containing an email address slice, all right, I guess slice the string containing an email address with find and extract the domain name from the email address. Okay, test the code with this. Okay, so this is so let's first put this in okay. So we have strb, so that contains this. Now we want to so what we want to do is to extract the domain name. So domain name here is that. Okay. So this MD2000, that's the user ID, and that's our domain name. So if you have a database that contains email address of lots of people, and you want to look at the domain name, or the different domain names that are used by your, say, customers. Okay. Now the ID, user ID, the first part, okay, we don't know how long that will be. Some people may have 3 letters, some people may have 15 letters, and so on. So we have to figure out, the domain name starts with the @ sign, right? So we have to figure out where the @ sign starts, and then we need to get the rest of it. So we have to use the find function to find where the @ sign starts, and then slice strb from that point onwards all the way to the end. Okay, so let's do it. Okay, so strb, so we're going to find, right? We're going to find what? @ sign. Okay, so it gives you 6. But of course, we have to save this into a variable so we can use it in the slice, right? So let's say that we save it as I1. Okay. Then what? strb. So what should be the index here in strb? Where should you start? Slicing should start from I1, or is it some other number? If you start with I1, okay, let's put I1 there and see what happens. Okay. Well, I need to put that. So I1 gives us the @ sign, right? So the domain name starts after the @ sign. Okay, so where should we then, the slicing should start from where? I1 plus 1, right? Okay, so that starts from there, and then what? We want the rest of it, right? What should we do here next? I1 plus 1, and then and if you specify some ending point, then it will start from I1 plus 1 up to that ending point. But if you leave the ending point off, then it's going to go all the way, right? So now we get the domain name from here. So we are now using find and then the slicing. Okay. Now, if you want to leave out that part, okay, and for the moment, let's assume that all the what is it called? That only 3 letters. Yes.
What exactly does the I1 represent?
Which one represents?
The
I1. Okay, so that's going to find the position of the @ right? Now, when you set that to I1 set equal to that, and that number is saved into I1. So I1 will have that value 6.
Okay, so when you set it to find the @ in the next line, I1 equals that @.
Right. So that line looks at, okay, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I1 is 6 now.
Okay.
And then here I1 is 6, 6 plus 1, 7. So now we are here. And we go away. Excuse me?
I don't understand why would you do that instead of just using 6 plus 1?
Why we did 6 plus 1? I mean I1 plus 1?
Yeah. Why can't you just
Because if you don't do plus 1, okay, this will include the @ because you're going to start from 6. So if you don't put the plus 1, okay, let's look at that. Suppose if you don't do that, then it's going to start from 6, and it will include the @. And we don't want the @, we want only the domain name. So that's why we put a plus 1. Got it?
Could you have done instead of I1, does it matter what you do? You could have done like any letter in 1. Does it matter?
Oh no, it does. It could be. It could be anything. Okay, so it could be. I'm great. Okay, then you use. Right. So the name doesn't matter. The name, of course, the naming convention. Remember naming convention. You can start with any letter, lower or uppercase, or underscore. You can't have anything else. So that I hope that did I answer your question? Okay. So it needs to be can be any, as long as it is a valid name. Okay. And usually you don't, you want the names to be kind of representative of what you're doing. So I here, people use I mostly for index positions. So that's like I stands for index. So I1 will be index 1, something like that. That's the reason. But there is nothing special about the name I1. Okay, any other questions? So now if you want to not include the last 3 digits, okay, I don't know what the name of that is, so we can say, what, -3? Well, it should be -4. Okay. -4 will leave out the last part. Or if the last part is not necessarily letters, if it could be 2 letters, okay, sometimes in different countries they have 3 ending, UK and whatever else, then you have to find from the right side, you have to go back to the, and it gets complicated, but it can be done. So that's how you would extract the portion of the string that you want, and then do what else you want to do. So you may gather this for all the for the entire column, and then maybe count how many of this domain, how many of that domain, things like that.